Welcome to the Nutrigenomic Nation podcast with Brian Highfield, certified nutritionist, author, speaker, and founder of multiple successful companies in the health world. Brian is known for educating healthcare professionals and others on improving their health and their life through breakthroughs in nutrition, technology, and biochemistry. On the podcast, Brian interviews thought leaders in the world of nutrition and natural health. He and his guests share the secrets of a whole life natural approach to health and the life-altering results you can get by making easy changes to your diet and daily routine.
Welcome to another episode. Today we have Eli Love, and Eli has got a website called healforfree.com. It's HEAL, the number 4, wordfree.com. And he wants to talk today about our body's natural healing mechanism. So welcome to the program, Eli.
Hey, thank you, Brian. And I also want to thank you for all the great work you do getting all these people on your show. It's just amazing, all the episodes you have. Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So talk to us a little bit about our body's own natural healing mechanism. What is that exactly, and how can we harness it?
I will tell you exactly what that is. And first, I got to tell you that as adults, we have forgotten about it. We put it in the back of our minds and we said, no, I'm not going to touch that because it's not safe to go there anymore. But we had it as children and we used it profusely. We used it all the time as children. As children, when a child gets hurt, Brian, what do?
They usually scream for mommy and daddy.
They cry. They have an expressional outburst. And that's their first thing, that's their first instinct to do, is release that tension that they have. And that is God's given way for us to deal with life. When we come up against a stress or an issue or a problem, we want to first just express it, just get it out of it. We got toxins coming in, we want to get the toxins coming out. Simple, simple, simple. And what happens is as we grow up, we get conditioned out of that process. And our parents say, well, no, you need to act like a big boy, act like a big girl, don't be bothering people. And we learn to shut that down systematically until it becomes normal for us to retain that stress all day, every day. And as we do that, that's where our issues and problems start to arise. And it's amazing, Brian. Our subconscious is so powerful. I actually became a hypnotist one time because I was just amazed with the power of our subconscious mind. And you can access so much information via hypnosis. Unbelievable. Well, this work that we do here, when we have an issue, like now in our adult lives, there's lots of stuff stuck in our subconscious mind. And when we do this work, we start getting it out and we start discovering, oh, that's what I've been covering up. Oh, that's what I forgot about all those years ago. And it's just amazing. The work that we do is simple. We have a problem. Let's say we have a weight issue that we're dealing with. So one of my favorite exercises is for clients, what's your favorite food that you want to eat that's not good for you? So there's, well, it's ice cream. So we'll put an ice cream in front of them and say, your job is to talk about that. And you can't eat it. You can only talk about it until you're peaceful, till you're totally at peace with it. And then they say, well, then can I eat it? I go, no, you can't. If you want to eat it, you're not at peace. So we do that and we have a talk until we're actually at peace. And when you're at peace, Brian, wow, there's nothing around you. There's not that ice cream. There's no issues, no urges. You're just at peace and you've discovered something about yourself in the meantime. And that's what children do when they have their fit, when they're upset. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes or if it's 3 hours. I've seen infants go for 3 hours at a time, just crying until they're done. And when a child is allowed to do that, even if you were the one that upset them, they come back to you and want to play with you again. It's like erase. It's gone. They're totally free of it. They've digested that. That's another thing. It's a nice analogy. When we eat too much food and our body can't digest it all, it stores it as fat. That fat is going to stay there for as long as it takes for you to work it off. That's the only way to get that fat off, is to work it off, generally speaking. And that's easy for people to understand. What people have forgotten, Brian, is that energetic weight is the same thing. When we get stressed, when we get attention, when we get kinked up in some sort of way, it's energetic toxins inside of us. And the only way to get rid of that is to burn it out, burn it off. And that is talk our way through it. Or a child, they're experts at it, so they're going to have a fit. Well, I don't suggest that for adults because it's been a while since we've done that. So I suggest a talking session and let that talking session take you where it wants to. And as we do that, we start burning off those toxins, we start getting through it, and we start realizing there's lots of stuff back here that it's creating that issue in us in the first place.
So, and you said that the application of this are pretty widespread. I mean, you talk about, maybe weight loss. What about addictions? What about disease and things like that? How can you harness that for other afflictions?
Addictions. I had I was a sugar addict for most of my life, and a wicked sugar addict. Brian, I would buy Snicker bars by the case, and I would eat 7 at a time. No problem. Wouldn't even think about it. And that was going on, and I loved it at first because it tastes so good, right? Until it started becoming a problem for me. So I started doing this work on it, and I discovered that at 5 years old, I was brought up in a military family. My dad was an Army sergeant. And at 5 years old, up until 5, it was a grace period. He didn't make me do anything. My dad I used to jump in the bed in the morning and would play and play games, and it'd make fun and have all this fun. And all of a sudden at 5 years old, it was time to be a soldier. And I got chores, I got regiment, I got strictness, I got you either do it right or don't do it at all. And I got a real different side of my dad coming at me. And I didn't know how to process that at that time. So I just shoved it in and immediately went to sugar for my source of sweetness instead of my dad that gave it to me before. And that stuck, Brian, for the longest time until finally I did this work on it, and I discovered that. And so there's all those pent up expressions that I never got out. As soon as I start getting them out, here's what it looks like. You do this work, you don't know when a healing is going to show up or not. They're spontaneous. And so I just started doing the work. And one day I was in the grocery store shopping, and I walked past the aisle up to the cash register, and I stopped, and I looked back, and I went, are you kidding me? There's the candy aisle back there. And I just walked past it. And I didn't even want anything from it. And I'm sitting there looking at it going, I'm looking at it and I don't even want anything. My body does not crave sugar anymore.
Wow.
Those are just godsends of like shifts that happen in your body, and they're just euphoric. And that's what happens. You do the work and then the shift happens. You mentioned disease. I had a client who was going to the doctor 6 times a week, 6 days a week for HIV. And he started doing this work and discovered very quickly that he had tons of unexpressed anger in his body. And he just went for it. He started letting that anger out. Within, I'm going to say, I think it was about 2 to 3 weeks, he was visiting the doctor 3 times a week instead of 6 times a week.
Wow.
And he said, man, he says, thank you so much for this. He said, it's like I got half my life back because I'm not there all day long at the hospital anymore. And I was in LA at the time. I moved from there, and so I never got back in touch with him. But I'm sure he improved from that point on. I have another very close friend, Brian, who had prostate cancer and started doing this work. And within 2 years, watched that prostate cancer disappear from his body with no medication, no procedures or anything. He found out where it was coming from. He did the work of detoxing all those unexpressed expressions, and the body reflects itself. That's what's so amazing about this work is the body's very intelligent inside, and it's reflecting outside what's going on the inside. And when we make that connection, they affect each other, and then those scenarios change as a result.
Now, on your website, you say that enemy number 1 is stress. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, like I say, since childhood, we learn to hold stress in, and we learn to keep it in as the norm. And here is the danger. If we can get stress, and let it out sometime during the same day, that's a good day, because we can remember what stressed us out that day and we can get it out immediately. That's good. But what happens is when we go to sleep, there's this little buffer that happens in our brain, and it goes back into our subconscious, and we forget about it the next day. And we don't realize that it's there, but it's still there, and it builds up and builds up and builds up until it creates a problem in our real life. And so on a good day, we can get around to alleviating stress every day. You take children at the end of the day, they're going to start getting whiny and start getting fidgety. They're going to start complaining about stuff. And most adults are going to say, oh, they're just getting tired.
Right.
No, when a child gets tired, a child goes to sleep. When a child gets to the end of the day and their filters start to break down, they're starting to feel all that stress that they didn't let out immediately during that day, and it's wanting to come out at the end of the day. Same thing happens as adults when we start doing this work. At the end of the day, your body's going to want to detox a lot of stuff. And so if you just let the child have that fit for however long it takes at the end of the day, boy, it's going to be in such a great mood the next day. But if you hold it, make that child hold it in, it's going to wake up cranky the next day. And we do that same thing as adults, Brian. Is that stress.
Yeah. So as adults, what are some good mechanisms for on a daily basis to relieve ourselves of that stress that we build up during the day?
Okay, so there's a number of different ways that we've been taught to deal with stress. The stress distraction comes up first is like count to 10, breathe, read a book, do something that takes your mind off the stress to calm you down. There's what's called stress management. That might be go to the gym. That's getting out some energy, but it's not directly directed at your issue. Go take a walk. That's getting some energy out of your body, but it's not directed at the issue. And then there's what's called stress release and stress healing, and that is directly dealing with your issues. So if the boss made you angry today, then you find a safe place by yourself. This is not done. This work's not done around other people. It's where you feel safe. You're not being heard, and you're not bothering other people. And you just let yourself talk 100% honest. Honesty, honesty, honesty. Be so honest that you embarrass yourself. Talk what you really feel, let it out, and see what you discover. And at the end of that session, you're going to feel calm. You're going to feel peaceful. And here's the deal. Most people, by the time we're adults, don't know what that feels like. And that's why they use me as a facilitator, is because 9 out of 10, I promise you, 9 out of 10 people are going to stop short. They're going to go, okay, I said everything I needed to say. I go, well, why is your foot wiggling like this? Or why is your eyebrow twitching every time you say this certain word? They go, oh, I didn't realize that. So I go, we'll talk about that. So we'll take them all the way down till they're really at peace. Then I go, now you're peaceful. Now you're done. And I usually have sessions with clients, Brian, from 2 to 5 times. That's how long it takes them to finally feel what it feels like to come to peace. Then they're on their own. They don't need me anymore. That's what's nice about it. I forgot what your question was.
Just stress being entity number one. I think you talked about that and talked about the mechanisms to alleviate stress. And you also talk about negativity on your website. And this is something that I observe quite a bit in today's society and I feel like it's just a reflection of people's built up emotions and stuff, that they're outwardly negative in a lot of different ways. I think I see a lot of judgment out there, negativity, always feeling like people feel compelled to criticize everything, and it's all outward rather than inward, or really reflecting themselves. So talk a little bit about negativity and how that affects our health.
Well, first of all, Brian, if you're projecting negativity outside, you're completely normal. That's how the brain deals with something that you don't want to deal with internally. That's how it deals with. It's going to create a problem outside so you can see it, so you can at least see it. if you're not going to deal with it personally, directly, then you're going to want to see it. And you know what? This picture out here is going to follow you around for as long as it takes for you to finally break down and go, oh my gosh, I got to do the work. It's inside. Case in point, I had this client come in and he was complaining of headaches. He always had headaches. So I said, well, let's talk about your headache. So in a session, he would start talking about his headache. And lo and behold, that pain from his head moved to his neck. And he says, hey, it moved to my neck. Now this hurts in my neck. And we'll talk about that. So he talked about that. And then it moved to his stomach. And I said, we'll talk about that. And we talked about that. And it moved out of his body finally. So that was the end of our session. He was peaceful. Well, lo and behold, he started doing workouts on this, and he discovered that the pain that was always stuck in his head migrated to different parts of his body before it went all the way out. That reminded him of the fact that he's always getting in and out of jobs and always finding something wrong with that job and always moving to another job. Well, that scenario reminded him of, man, when I was growing up, I could never please my mom. Whatever I did with her, she was always finding something wrong with it. So I'd try something else, and she'd find something wrong with that, and I'd try something else. And that pain of never getting, that satisfaction from his mom to say, yeah, you did a good job, was unresolved, and that pain was stuck in there. As soon as he started letting that go, his body pain left just like that, and also his urge to run from jobs left. He learned how to deal with it instead of running from it. So that's one of the ways that negativity is projected out there. Another thing is, Brian, when people hear about this work, they say, well, I don't know if I want to be negative. Negativity only creates more negativity. Believe me, that is a myth created by the conscious mind's way of not wanting to deal with it. Here's what happens. People will start to be negative, and they'll spout off just for as long as it takes to come back into their body and be reasonable again, and then they'll continue with their day. Well, they forgot that 80% of that stress is still left in there. They just discarded the top 20%. So the 80% that's left in there is building up for the next day. And so the next day, it doesn't take that long to set that off again. And the next day after that doesn't take that long to set that off again. And so to them, it seems like they're becoming more negative as the days goes on. But actually, it's because they haven't fully cleaned out all the way. And so negativity is a good thing when you release it in a safe way by yourself in an unconditionally expressive way. It's simply getting toxins out. We need to do that.
Well, talk about the flip side of that too, of getting a more positive outlook on things, on situations in life, because it's easy to criticize and we can blame other people. It's like you said, it's completely normal and natural to do that, but also, talk about the other aspects of it, of being more positive, and probably the benefits of getting a different outlook, looking at things a little bit through rose-colored glasses rather than looking at all the negative side of it.
That is the main effect of doing this work. When you're sitting there blaming somebody that they're this and they're that and they're the other, and you, and you start doing this work, what happens is you move into that. You allow yourself to blame them. You allow yourself to go there and just fire at them. And as you do that, you exhaust that energy, and you start moving outward, and you find peripheral issues that are around it, and you talk about that, and it's different for each person. But at the end of the day, pretty much this is what happens with myself and clients across the board is you discover, oh my gosh, I'm doing the exact same thing, only on a different level of my life. I'm doing just what they're doing, just over here. And I understand why I'm doing it over here, and now I understand why they're doing it over there. And it gives you so much compassion for this person that now you have the room, Brian, to say, hey, what's going on? How can I help you with this? Instead of just simply judging them.
Yeah, that's great advice. We only got a little bit of time left, but where can people go to learn more about what you do and to get in touch with you?
Easiest place is to go to healforfree.com. Like you said, heal the number 4 free.com, and there's my email there, and there's some lengthy videos there and a testimonial video at the end, and then I'm putting these podcasts there on that website also. And also there is a take my email and email me. There's the first Wednesday of every month I'm doing Zoom calls, and you're welcome to come join for free and just ask all the questions that you want to on these Zoom calls. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And also there's a book that I wrote with a lot of exercises in them, lots of different exercises across the board. It's called The Manual for Life. It's on Amazon. And punch in the search bar, The Manual for Life by Eli Love. If you just put The Manual for Life, it's not going to come up, but by Eli Love, it'll pop right up.
Awesome. Good stuff. So yeah, we'll put those links on our show description as
Thank
well.
you.
So make them easy access for people. But so our guest today has been Eli Love. He's got a website, healforfree.com, and is the author for The Manual for Life. So thanks for being on the program, Eli.
Thank you, Brian. Pleasure talking to you.